even though the sun has just gone into Pisces today. There's a 4-planetary stellium in Aquarius. So stellium is a number of planets, 3 or more. It can be in a house or a sign. So we've got the stellium of Pluto in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, and Mars in Aquarius principally. Also Mercury a bit later on. I want to talk about the Pluto-Venus-Mars conjunction. Pluto going into Aquarius will take 20 years to unfold and another 1,000 years to understand. The implication of a couple of planets conjuncting Pluto is to be discussed now. We can't access some of these mysteries. They're just beyond us. The idea that we can just understand the mysteries, that's exactly what's wrong with scientific materialism. These arrogant people make the statement, we can measure everything, we can understand anything, and they affirm that unconsciously. They don't even understand that that's a tenet of their belief. They affirm that things can be understood, whereas we affirm that there is a mystery that's well beyond us, and actually is great. I'm really delighted that the mystery is bigger than me. It would be frightening, terrifying to think that humanity has the answers to the nature of reality. I want there to be something we don't understand, and yet I want a chance to understand it better. And if we think that through, that's a really good formula for life. I don't know what's going on, but if I study it properly, I can know more. And if you think about what you know and how you came to know it, whether it's the ability to ride a bicycle. Do you remember that when you were a child? You learn how to ride a bicycle, and it's like so exciting. The world had just suddenly become a place that you could reach because you had transport. How long did that fascination, that feeling last? Not long. You certainly don't have it nowadays. Well, it's the same with everything. We want more than we had rather than a lot. Having more than before is what makes us feel expanding, expansive, therefore. Having what we had yesterday, even though it's a lot, doesn't give us much of a feeling. We can have the absence of disappointment, but we can't feel it because we don't think of it. And this is the story of our species' greed. Look at what we've actually got and compare that to 100 years ago or something. All of us now in the West who are not in poverty are living in splendor which outclasses anything the sultans used to have in the olden days. We can flick on a switch and have heat and entertainment. We're amazingly rich, and yet we don't feel that because it's not richer than yesterday. So the point I'm making is it's comparative that matters, not absolute. That's really important. Have I got a little bit more than yesterday? Am I a little bit happier now? Are my problems more sorted out than they were? That movement towards something gives us the feeling that we like in life. So with Pluto, we're not looking to understand Pluto or Pluto in Aquarius. It would be hubris to think that we could. We can't. It's a mystery. However, we can tiptoe towards the mystery, and that tiptoeing occurs a little bit more readily, I would say, when a more accessible planet is in close relationship, in this case to Pluto. I think this would apply to Neptune and Uranus as well. But anyway, Pluto has been and is conjuncted by both Venus and Mars for a little while, very quick. That's how we can access the mysteries a little bit more than we did yesterday, knowing full well that we're a million miles away from ever getting it. So, I'm looking around me now, at my ordinary everyday life. Who's doing what now that they didn't do last week or last month? And in the last 2 or 3 days, mega occurrences are around me. People are going through huge shifts. Problems in some cases, but problems that are necessary for us to grow in consciousness as we try and deal with them. The less conscious we are of a situation, the more force needs to be brought to that situation to awaken us into a realization which is necessary for resolution. This is a part of the Pluto formula. Pluto's saying, you haven't learned so far with all of these gentle, helpful things I've done for you. Right, now I'm going to have to punch, because you're just not getting it. You need a slap in the face to awaken to this, or you're in trouble. That's what Pluto's saying. First it slaps you in the face, or punches you in the face more likely, and what was that about? If you ask that question to the nth degree, so that you get a solution to the question, what was that about? What was that for? What is that meant to awaken within me in consciousness? That's what Pluto's gift is to us. If you do that, then you'll survive it. Your life will just take a different turn, and you'll carry on growing and becoming happier. If you ignore what Pluto is telling you, that won't happen. You'll actually start to degrade and degenerate towards death. That's Pluto's purpose. And we can gain access to this with these two inner planets' help. And the key resolution that we're going through is forget the details. There's so much attention given to detail in astrology that the bigger picture is so often lost. Pluto has just changed signs. Wow. When it did that in 1914, it went into Cancer, we had World War One. When it went into Leo, we had World War II in 1939. Now that doesn't always happen, of course, but it's threatening, isn't it? People are talking about World War III now. I haven't heard that mentioned for quite some decades, not as seriously as now. So there is a real risk of World War III occurring, but there's also the certainty that something equivalent is happening, must happen, nothing we can do to shift the existence of that level of dramatic change in human history. It doesn't have to be war. The war is there if we ignore all of the clues. So if I was a person with a Pluto transit, I would expect to have to go to the doctor and be told some bad news, or listen to my partner telling me that our relationship is ended, or losing the use of one of my limbs, or something big and horrible. That's what a person goes through when Pluto is operating. Not necessarily changing signs. That's usual when we've got a Pluto square Pluto transit, or a Pluto square Sun transit, or something, those kind of high-level events. Well, the world is going through a major Pluto transit, and so we would expect to have bad news to deal with. Well, we have war, poverty, hunger, starvation, climate change, right-wing politics that says to people, you're wrong because you're the wrong sexual orientation or skin colour, or you mustn't have an abortion because all of these things that we're having to deal with in the news recently, big things. Well, we've got to deal with them. Like if you were a person having to deal with stuff and you went to the doctors and the doctor said, give up this or die, and you went back a few months later and he said, well, have you given up? No. And that's where we are. You know, global warming is ridiculous. Politics surrounding that is getting more extreme. We have to change. It's compulsory, not negotiable. And when I say we, I say humanity, and I know that some of those people won't. That's how it always is, how it is, always will be. Some people will change, some people won't. We have to. We have to have the certain faith that because we change who we are ourselves, and there's a good time to do it right now with this access to Pluto consciousness, if we change individually, then a bunch of people who are also changing individually will be more attracted to us and we to them, and we'll form our own little special interest groups different from those who are not changing. Now, like I say, this is compulsory to the level where if we don't do it, we die or have some horrible event that we really, really don't want. How to change? A few pointers here. If we say, well, how can we change? That's called a rhetorical question. That's a question that we ask expecting there to be no answer. If you say to yourself, how can I change? That's a real question that brings an answer. Seek and ye shall find. First step then, change how you ask your questions. Get rid of the rhetoric, get rid of the emotional drama. That won't work. Yes, I know you're suffering. Yes, we're all suffering. Put it aside for the moment. That won't help your decision making. What you need to do is to know that you must change. It's compulsory. And if you don't, there's a penalty. And do something different. So what do I do? What do I do? Not rhetoric. Turn it into a specific question. There will be a need for you to relate differently to people in your life, especially your partners, especially your boss. You will have to relate authentically. You've got to be who you are, or it won't work. Of course. You have to understand that the other person is also going through the same Pluto transit that you are. Therefore, communication needs to be impeccably sensitive, courteous. You've got to listen as much as you speak. That's how to start engineering the change. But I think most importantly, you have to look for the possibility of a step in the right direction and forget about what happens on step 2. You can't solve anything. What you can do is take a step towards a solution, and then the universe has its responsibility to respond back to you. That's the nature of reality. We take one step, God takes 10 or 10,000 back towards us, it is taught. But whatever, the universe of your life, your people, your circumstances, as you step towards them, they'll step towards you. So if you look for the light and step towards it, then the light rushes towards you. And if you keep your focus attention on the light, that's the way out. There is no other way. So our function as agencies through which Pluto can enter this plane of the Earth, our function is to be on a quest towards a very specific step towards the light. We're on a quest, it's sacred. We make a specific movement, not maybe this, maybe that, maybe the other. Doesn't work. I'm doing this and I'm not thinking about anything else. And I'm taking one step, not a million, not even a mile. One step in the right direction. And then you reconsider what direction next. Day by day, moment by moment, in this particular moment, what can I do? What can I refrain from doing? What can I say? What can I refrain from saying? In order to optimize the likelihood that light shines in this particular moment. That actually is a secret of life, really, according to so many teachings. And here we have Pluto saying, yeah, it really is. And let me give you the other side of the question if you don't get it. So here we have Pluto, Venus, Mars, conjunction in Aquarius. Do the right thing. Do it with the people you love. Be positive. Look for the light. And this general advice really is how we must all be. It's what works. Nothing else seems to.